Hey, welcome to another week of shenanigans. Welcome back. Welcome
everybody.
I'm Tay.
B. Wills.
Thanks again for joining us. So we're going to hop right into this week's episode. Thanks for the applause, everyone. You're too kind. You are too kind. Here we go again. Episode 6. This is episode 6. And we are going to start it off with the quote of the week. For those of you who have listened to episode 5, as you know, we added this new segment for quotes of the week as we both enjoy a nice quote. And so we thought it would be something that is encouraging, uplifting, sometimes funny, all the shenanigans.
And sometimes it's just something that hits you right in the head.
So the quote of the week, go ahead, kick it off. I think it's yours.
All right. So this quote of the week goes like this. When people hurt you over and over, think of them like sandpaper. They may scratch and hurt you a bit, but in the end, you will end up polished and they will end up useless. I love this because so many times we find ourselves in situations that are not the best, whether we entertain them or not. These situations could just be something you see that you need to steer clearing of. But there's times when people in our lives, and we feel obligated to them, and just because you're a good-natured person, you want to help them, and sometimes to the detriment. So this quote really resonates with me because it helps me to see that not everybody you can help. Sometimes, as we stated last week, it's okay to say no.
So does your quote say someone hurts you over and over again? I missed a part of it. Is that what it said? I just want to be clear before I said over and over, because that kind of stuck in my head, especially where I am right now. I am not entertaining being hurt over and over. Although I think it is a great quote. Yeah, I'm done with that. So, fool me once. What's that quote? Fool me once, fool on me? Or fool me once, shame on me.
No, shame on you.
Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But yeah, no, I like that quote. I like the visual that it gives with the sandpaper and someone potentially wearing out their welcome.
I absolutely love this being a carpenter because I've used sandpaper so many times, and I can't tell you how many times you start off with a nice piece of sandpaper that looks like it's going to do something, and with a couple swipes, you wear it down, and it's useless. It has holes in it. It's really like the visual is so powerful for this because you do end up polished sometimes if you allow it to work with you or you allow it to teach you something. So yes, let's work on not allowing someone to fool us or hurt us in the first place, so we don't need that sandpaper.
Well, you never know if somebody's going to hurt you, but if they do, then again, boundaries, right?
Absolutely. And again, like she said, boundaries, and it's good to clarify those in the beginning. And don't be afraid to speak your mind because it can only help you in the future if you do that.
Great quote of the week. Thank you, B Wheels. As you guys know, we're trying to grow our content and trying to make this a fun and informative and entertaining podcast. So you may hear us adding segments from time to time, taking some segments out, so on and so forth. Like I said, quote of the week was new as of last week. I think we're going to keep that one. We also have the hypothetical question at the end, the man versus women question at the end, and something new. I have an interesting one for something new this week. But something else we're adding today is the What's on Your Mind segment. This is just something that we're both going to bring to the table from time to time to talk about things that maybe have happened throughout the week and that we kind of just want to air out and maybe talk to and just put it out there and get it off our chest. So this is, like I said, another new segment. So, and it's What's on Your Mind. This one is, again, going to be tossed over to Mr. B. Wills. He had something on his mind this week. So, what you got?
Yes, I love it. This one is, I'm going to check myself. I'm really going to check myself and my behavior. This had to do with my son. This actually happened just recently. And so the backdrop is I gave my son a task to do. Take out the trash, a little small, something. And I was actually going to pay him. Long story short, the job didn't get done. He had all day to do it. I had text mom Like, this is what he has to do. Because mom usually makes sure and gives him a call when she's on his way. Needless to say, it didn't happen. They had plans afterward. And here is where I got to check myself. I acted like an adolescent, as mom stated. Called the boy and just literally lost it. Like, why didn't you do this, that, and the third? And I can't for the life of me understand why it went down this way. And it was so bad that I had to call him back and apologize, because when I called mom, of course, she checked me and was like, oh.
So, yeah, the trash wasn't taken out. Let me just give my perspective, because, like you said, we were rushing out. I had to go pick him up from your house. We were making it to a movie. You did text me and say, well, can you let him know that remind him to do this before he leaves or whatever. So I got that text a couple hours before I went to pick him up. I'm getting there, so there's this big event happening in the city. So now, trying to make it to this movie, annoyed with the traffic, as I often am driving into the city.
She has a problem.
I'm there, like, getting to the door, calling my son, come downstairs so we can get out of here for this movie. So he gets in the car, then dad calling him on the phone. I can hear him saying, what happened to the trash? Come take out the trash. And my son's like, oh, dad, I forgot. I'm sorry. I can't do it. We're trying to make this movie. And they're going back and forth like that. No, you got to come and take out the trash. My son's like, sorry, I can't do it. I'm already in the car. And I'm like, yeah, no, we got to get out of here. Traffic is building up on this side street. People everywhere. And so my son is talking, and all of a sudden, I just hear the phone go dead. So anybody who really knows me knows how I feel about rudeness and hanging up on somebody. So that's what dad did to his own child. He hung up on my son, people.
I did.
He hung up on my son.
Why you got to say my son?
Because now I'm making it personal.
I knew it was personal after that.
And so that kind of put me in a place of annoyance. And so, surprisingly, you called me after you hung up on him, which was very surprising, because you know how I feel about that.
I know.
So he calls me and he's like, well, what happened? And immediately I'm on 100, because I'm already annoyed with the fact that you hung up on him. So I kind of spazzed on him for a second, and I'm like, it's not my responsibility to tell him what to do at your house. That's your responsibility, number one. Number two, did you really just hang up on him like a 2-year-old? So our conversation wasn't very pleasant, and
I didn't even care at that point.
Yeah, it kind of went from there. So
and that's not how I deal with things, and that's why I call back like a few, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes later. I call back and to really just apologize after I calmed down. So I had to take a beat, because I was like, "What is going on? Like, it's really not that serious."
Some trash.
And I was paying them. So I'm like, why did you act like that? And I can't, like I said, I don't know what was going on with me. I wasn't feeling good yesterday. I just literally, but that still wasn't an excuse. Did not allow me to do that to my child. So I guess I bring this up because, have you ever had that moment where you just act out of character? And the most embarrassing moment of your life is put in your face, and you have nothing but to just eat it. And then and sometimes it can be so embarrassing that you don't address the situation. But I think we have a great relationship in that one. No, we do have a great relationship, and we'll be able to call each other out on this situation and express our feelings and our discomfort. Sometimes it's anger and frustration, but I think yesterday, as badly as I handled it in the beginning, I think it turned out well, and I was able to recover from that. And here's a takeaway. We never want to be like that toward our children or anyone in general. And it's like you said, you have a problem toward rudeness. And that was something that I had to really grasp or embrace. I didn't think I was a rude person.
Bro, rude.
Did you? And she read the manners books.
I brought this dude dinner. I was counting, guys. I was counting, because every night I would bring him dinner. Put the plate down. He's sitting at the table. Everything's all good. Nothing. I'm like, okay. By night 3, when I put that plate on the table with no thank you, I was like, all right. I had to tell my oldest son, who was 12 at the time or so, I was like, go upstairs and get the manners book, because we about to nip this in the bud. We had to read the Muppet Babies manners book, because I was like, I know. You are not saying thank you. What is going on? I hate rudeness. I mean, just politeness, and I don't know. It's one of my pet peeves. Yeah.
You need affirmation.
You know what? My love language is words of affirmation. Yes. It is. It really is. Before, and this It would have been nice to know. It would have been nice to have the 5 love languages book back then, because I would have known, like, you know what? I need this. I need words of affirmation. I need politeness.
But I don't have a problem with that. I think the politeness of saying thank you after I got my plate was
so
missing.
Rude. I just felt like it was so rude. I'm like, what is going on? Were you always like this?
Like nobody,
like some caveman? You just.
I can't really recall.
And we both know you got mad plates brought to you. You just never.
Never said thank you to nobody.
That was his thing, getting plates.
I just do the Are you going to get some shots on that one? Yes. I'm a plate warrior.
No, so yeah, we kind of, I had to go off on him yesterday, but here we are doing the podcast today. So somewhere along the lines, everything worked itself out in silence. But I think also.
It worked itself out because it worked out with Junior.
I think also, too, being able to apologize to your children is a great thing to be able to do. We as parents, we lose our patience sometimes with our kids. And sometimes we show that outwardly, and we never know how they're feeling because of how we reacted to something maybe that they've done. So when you can apologize to them and show them that you're humble enough to acknowledge when you're wrong, I think that helps them to be a better rounded individual, and it helps them to see that that's okay to do too. So,
and that's what we're growing. We're building a man that is going to have morals, that's going to be hospitable, polite, humble, strong, but able to express himself. And I think what helped me yesterday so much was the way he responded back to me. His response, like, he called me back, and that really touched me. He called me back afterward. After everything that I said to him, he called me back and was like, Dad, after the movie, do you want me to come and do it? And at that moment, I loved him even more, but I felt so small, and it just like, how stupid are you? And, and he didn't even get mad.
He's really just such a good kid.
He really is. And the way he was just speaking to me is, I'm loving the way he's growing up. So I appreciate the life skills that you instill in him. It also helped me to see that I need to do some extra work. I got some adjustments I need to make. And so it's a great thing when your child can be graceful enough to check you as well and be able to teach you something. And I like this segment that we're having because this is online therapy. Like, I'm not leaving myself out for the Target or the shotguns or wherever. Like, if I do something wrong, call me out on it. This is what the shenanigans is. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of times where in a relationship, and whether you're in a physical, intimate relationship or it's a platonic one, it is still a relationship, and you still need to hold yourself accountable and responsible for your actions. And also you need to be humble enough to admit when you're wrong, showing grace to the other person. These are all things that we all need to have and that help a relationship to go wrong. And sometimes it comes from your kid. I mean, out of the mouth of babes, isn't that what the Bible says?
Mm-hmm. So. All right. So that was What's on Your Mind segment. I think we did pretty good with that one.
I like that segment a lot.
I think we did good with that one. So next up on the docket, it is the topic for the week, which is, this one was something that we had on our list to talk about when we went through the whole trilogy. We both came to this situation with children, and I think that it's a timely topic. Yeah, it's a timely topic. People out there, a lot of people have kids, and a lot of people are getting into relationships. And so basically the topic of the day is being a step-parent. What are our thoughts on being a step-parent? How do we approach it? What types of things do we take into account? What is important for you if you are introducing your child to someone new? What is it important that person brings to the table? How would you want that person to behave towards your child or with your child, things like that. So sometimes you hear people say bonus child, you hear people say stepchildren, so on and so forth. Bonus child?
I've never heard that term.
You never heard somebody say bonus child?
No.
Jada Pinkett Smith says it all the time about Trey. But yeah, it's a common thing. Some people have an issue with the word stepchild or something like that. I myself don't have an issue with that terminology. I just think that when you are in a situation when you're dealing with children, personally myself, having been a step parent twice, I think it's important to go in, and again, speaking for myself, go in with the knowledge that, I am the adult in the situation, obviously, but also realizing that the child is in a vulnerable position, meaning that they might have feelings of loyalty toward their other parent. They might not be happy about the situation at hand right away. So it's important to give them a little bit of space and grace and time for adjustment. Just going into it with acknowledgement that the child is also in a situation that is unfamiliar, and it could be scary for them too. So being the adult in the situation, not adding potential
problems
and stress to the situation.
I think I want to speak on that because in my situation, I'd never been in that situation. Sometimes I think it's scary because just for the whole child support, that word is such taboo that it encompasses a whole larger situation where it potentially sways the person in the beginning from making a proper decision, because child support is literally something that is in the place to help the child. It shouldn't be a situation where the parent uses the child as either a weapon or some type of an anchor or what's the word, to hold over the person, to make them conform to their demands. And I think this situation, I'd never been a stepchild. So, but I've always been in a relationship where there was a stepchild involved. And me personally, that was a triggering situation, low key.
What was a triggering situation?
Just being in a situation and not like, because of what I had come from, or the dysfunction that I had just been coming out of, where she disappeared with the children. I was very hypersensitive to making sure that I kept her in a place where she was okay, not to ever put me in that position where my children would be taken from me. And when I say children, one of them was a stepchild, if you want to say, but I never viewed him as that. He's always been my child. To this day, he called me just earlier, and it's like, Dad. So, but it took a long time for me because I was going through a situation where, even though I was raising this child, I was never given that respect as being the parent. And it was like, you're calling me this child, but when I make decisions and I have to make parental decisions or discipline, everybody's coming for me, but nobody's helping. So coming from that, when we had our situation, I think I made a more stressful situation because I had all that in the back of my head, instead of which could have made it simpler if I had just made the conscientious decision, and put boundaries in place. Like you said, here's where the boundaries really need to overshadow the potential thoughts that race through our heads, because you can cut down on some of those.
So you brought up child support. I mean, we're talking about stepchildren. What did child support have to do with?
I think the child support, I might have gotten off the subject, as I often do, but clearly introduce another subject that we're going to talk about later.
Awesome.
But the situation why I brought child support in is because when dealing with what I thought you were getting at is making a decision on what to tell the child, and to be clear about what roles the parent plays and the child now plays in this new blended situation, and how you think about that situation. And the parent is what I'm talking about, and maybe even the father in this situation, because the father is the one that usually has to pay the child support in most cases. I was one of the exceptions, but that still does not negate the fact that we have those stories, because I know everybody's heard countless of stories of horror, stories about the child support. So when you are blending two families, the person that has the custody of the child could have some reservations on how to introduce the new person, or how much conversation has around it. And I think I was tiptoeing about the situation. And to bring it to your point was, I didn't really make it plain and what role.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost on the child support thing. I mean, that's for sure a topic we can get into later, but I'm talking more so about when the child is now introduced to the new situation, because either there's an engagement or you're at a point now where the child needs to be introduced to your significant other. How do you view that as the adult in the situation? Like I said, speaking for myself, I recognize, having been a stepchild, having been a step parent, that the child is in a precarious situation as well. So just taking their feelings into account, because they're children. They didn't ask to be put into this situation. I think it's also important that you have open communication with your significant other and making sure that you guys are on the same page at all times, because something else that children often do in situations like this is when the games of trying to pit one biological parent against the other. And you have to have a strong united front with your new significant other, spouse, whoever it may be, that, at your house, this is how things are going to go. And also have that open communication with the child too, letting them know that, hey, when you're here, this is how things are. We have communication. It's okay to say however you feel, whatever those feelings are. It's okay to get them out on the table. But I think you really can run into some trouble when kids don't feel free to talk. And so then now it allows them to do those things that children do often, and that's try to play the mom versus dad game. I don't like going to dad's house because such and such. I don't like going to mom's house because such and such. Or, the new person is this way or the new person is that way. Of course, unless the new person really is that way, then you want to listen to your child. But
I was about to say,
I think
there's
it's
a situation
very
where it
important.
could be that.
Yeah, for sure. But it's very important that you have open and honest communication with your
here's my
partner.
question. How do you stop if the games are there? So just say you do all that. We do everything, just what you said, and we set boundaries. We let them know that when you come to mom or dad's house or such and such, this is the way it is. You can freely talk. If you have something on your mind, don't feel as though you have to come to one parent or one individual or another. You can freely speak. But kids will still be kids. And if you have a biological parent that is feeding negativity into that child who is very impressionable, and let's say it's coming from a favorite biological parent, or maybe there's no favorite, but maybe this biological parent plays the major role, and kind of like,
or maybe that biological parent, I would say, is the one that the child sees as the victim or the one that's hurting. So usually a child will resonate with that parent more.
Absolutely.
I say in that situation, then your actions with your new spouse just have to show louder than your words are. Your child has to see that what you said is the case when they come over is what it is. So if it's, we're not going to play those games while you're here. We're not going to do that stuff. We're going to have open conversation. We're going to have open communication. If the child says something to one parent and the parent calls you out on it, because I also had this situation happen where it's like, maybe you need to call that parent in front of the child and have that conversation so the child can hear you and make everything plain as day. Like I told you, we're not going to have no secrets. We're not playing games. If this is what you say is happening over there, then I'm going to call. And we're going to have that conversation, and you're going to hear me have this conversation, and I'm going to be honest about what you told me. So that if you tell me something, I'm going to handle it, but what you're telling me better be the truth. Because if it's not, now everybody's going to know. There's no secrets, because that's when games are allowed to be played, when there are secrets. And usually the biological parent that's playing games allows those secrets to happen. So they'll say something, and you'll never know about it.
Don't tell daddy
exactly.
or mommy.
Exactly, and you'll never know about it. But if you are on the up and up, and your child comes to you and says something, you'll be like, okay, well then, like I often do with you. If her son comes and says something to me, I'll call you right up.
But yeah, that's you, and that's why I said, what do you do in
That's
situation?
what I'm saying. That's when your actions have to be louder than your words. Your child has to see that you really are not playing games.
And it's important to put in this situation that sometimes it's not a quick fix. It could take
I was going to
years.
say it could, and it could go on for years. It absolutely could. And unfortunately, we both know people like this too. Unfortunately, that parent who is not seen as the victim or the favorite parent, sometimes unfortunately, space is put between you and your child. Maybe it's the child initiating that space. Maybe they no longer want to come over, or maybe, you know, you don't have that close relationship with them anymore. And years have to pass, and you know, unfortunately, those situations happen.
There's so many emotions that come into play when you're dealing with a stepchild, or you're being a step parent, or what have you, because you really have to do damage control a lot of times in your head before you even get to the situation. And this is why I spoke to our child support in the gate, because you're not just thinking about what the situation is. You're thinking about what that other biological parent may or may not do. If that parent if the child goes back and expresses whatever has happened over your house, and that biological parent does not like it, then immediately that person is going to form a plan to thwart or to kind of sever the relationship. And we both know of a situation where the child was comfortable with the significant other outside of that, and it was the other biological parent that put a monkey wrench in it and messed that up, so that now it completely turned. Took some time, but it turned the child against the other biological parent, to the point where now everything that the other biological parent has ever done is seen as being non-existent or not enough.
Yeah.
And you know, and so this is where we have to then, it takes time, because until the child can actually see for themselves what the actual situation is, you just put two people in, there's three separate situations and three separate people in this equation, and no one is hearing anyone.
Yeah.
And what the problem is the child grows up in that dysfunction. So now, as the child is of age, you can't tell that child anyone. He or she has already formed their ideas and perceptions, and also life
Based
has hit
off
them.
of unfortunate. Yeah, that's an unfortunate situation where now you have this adult child who has this opinion of their other parent, and it's all based on
perception and pain and loss and
jealousy of another parent.
Everything.
And that's a disgusting circumstance to have to deal with. And sometimes, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. Me, as a parent, having to introduce my children to someone new, always make it clear to them that this person is not trying to be your father. You have a father. Your father's active in your life. You know who your father is. This person is just a friend. This person is just going to be your friend. So I think that also helps to keep the child's mind at ease, and also have that conversation with your significant other too. Like, you know, I'm not looking for you to be my child's parent. I'm looking for you to just be a friend to them, be someone that they can look up to, be a good example. You know, I think most of the times, especially for a man that's coming into a situation, the way that man treats the mother goes a long way with the children. So,
absolutely, especially when it comes to being a male.
Yeah.
So, you know, situation, if it's a female coming in there, sometimes the female, depending on how that gentleman acts, the female can clearly get attached to that individual. I was in a situation where I felt very uncomfortable with my own daughter in a situation potentially. And I think in that situation, because of that and how I reacted, you didn't like it at that time. And I don't think you understood it, what I was saying. But at that, you took it as though, why do I care so much?
I'm not sure which one.
There was a situation previously when it came to my daughter, and I had learned some information, previous person, and we had talked about it. Well,
I can't remember.
Yeah, that's okay. But I was very adamant about, no, I didn't like this situation. I didn't want this. There's no way that I want to have this person coming and being involved, or, I don't care what mom does, but now this person is coming from a place.
Situation about
their situation, which their situation was really.
I can't remember, because you know I'm all for protecting the kids, so I can't remember that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay, but that's I guess back to what we were trying to say, which I probably lost what was my train of thought.
No, I was just saying that, you have to make the kids feel at ease. And if they feel more comfortable realizing that, oh, this person is just, this person's not coming in to try to be my mom or coming in to try to be my dad, I think that helps too. And also having, like I said, having that conversation with your partner, letting them know the same thing. Like, we're a team, yes, but recognize that my child has their parent. That's not a slight on you by any means, but children need to have, they need to know what the boundaries are too. They need to know what the situation is. They need to have everything spelled out so that they aren't making up stories in their heads or ideas in their heads, and now they're becoming scared because they're not sure who this new person is and what this new person's gonna be to them. Or
absolutely.
So
what age do you think is the proper age to being able to speak frankly to them?
Any age. I think it's just a matter of how you say it. So like if they're younger, of course you have to use different words.
Yeah.
But I think it's always beneficial to be straightforward with the child.
And I think that's, in hindsight, man, it's hard to actually look back at my actions and see how disturbing and frustrating. Now I can really see how frustrated you must have been in this situation, because I mean, we joke about being bamboozled, but seriously, this is just situations that I had never encountered. I'd never been in these situations, and trying to ascertain what I was supposed to do and still play this role. But because of this, it was, I think, is where I found myself inadvertently challenging everything. And that made for an uncomfortable interaction in the beginning, because a person that has already been through this and says clearly, like, I know what's going to happen. I know this outcome. I've seen this outcome. You're not listening to what I'm saying. And why is it that you're not listening? Like, I'm here to help. And in spite of all that, but you weren't saying it in those words, but it was implied. And to speak to your why you did that, your defense. Of my age and caliber, I should have been able to make that decision or make that switch. And for some reason, I just couldn't. And it's not an excuse, but that's what happened. And now looking back at that, and it's like, why didn't you? Why weren't you able to make that switch? Because I see it clearly now. And maybe it's because of being trained or me having it presented to me in a different way. And I think some of that was, you really did teach me a lot in the relationship. And as I said it before, I wish that I had listened a lot more. But these life checks or cheat sheets that you have given me, I've been able to take to some of them and apply them to my life right now. So,
well, I think you said it before too. You were afraid of having the kids taken away again. I mean, we had that conversation before too, when I was like, you could always go back to court. Like, and I think too, it was just, you were just always used to being in a scenario where that's what people fall back on. People fall back on playing games. So you do something I don't like, then I'm going to take them and disappear. So I don't play games when it comes to my kids. I will have you in court within a week. I don't do no back and forth when it comes to my kids.
And
but
I
you were
just scared of the court system.
I was going to say, yeah, you were just terrified of the court system. Like, you literally, like, and I'm telling you, like, if you file the paperwork, it looks favorable to you. You're the one filing. It's okay. But yeah, you were just so afraid of that whole thing. You were just like a victim to the game playing. So one other thing I just wanted to say too was, I think it's a good idea to have regular check-ins with your spouse about, how they think things are going, how you both think things are going, suggestions for each other. What do you suggest? How do you think I'm coming across to them? Do you think, and let them have their conversations with their own child too, so they can tap in and see how everything's going. As far as discipline, I leave that up to the biological parents. Like I said, my role is to just be a friend, to be a confidant, so that the child sees that, here, I'm a partner with your parent and we are a family. So like we said, it takes a while. It could take a while for the child to warm up, but I think if everyone in your household is on the same page and the child sees that there's no games here, they see that everybody's on the team and they can speak freely. Once they are in that comfort zone, I think they're more able to blossom.
When you're used to destruction and confluence and whatever else, it's hard to come into a situation that has structure, because then it becomes restrictive. And I understand that so well. There was a time in my life where I was making a lot of bad decisions. And because of that, it kind of put me in a bad state of mind, where you look at the judicial system as being negative. You look at all these different things. You look at child support. You're scared of what the person, because you're always finding yourself in these games where you're in a circle. I do something to you, that pity pat. That's high school. So real life requires that sometimes you file paperwork, and that way you put boundaries and you set things into place. And that was a portion of my life that I had never been able to deal with, because I hadn't experienced it yet. I was not in that situation, and unfortunately I placed myself in the line of fire to be in this situation, because I didn't have to do what I did in the beginning. I didn't have to get involved with the individuals that took me and started me on this path of destruction, because I left at an early age, at 17, where I was still needed to get that training. And then my brain hadn't caught up, even though I had the vision and I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how to execute it. And being around such difficult women, or different caliber of women, I was used to this playbook. Like, okay, so this is the playbook. You know, the playbook. Oh, when she does this or she does that, that's is always the case. And I was looking at those situations and like, you're challenging me. Like, nah, you're not going to challenge me. Trying to throw the hook. Or, you know what I used to do? I was this, that. And you're really looking at me like, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't hold weight here. Like, you might as well leave that out, because you're actually hurting yourself by telling me that. That doesn't impress me. And it was like, wow. So after hearing all of that, it was hitting me so hard. It was like, this chick is putting me down. And like, that was supposed to be my claim to fame. You know, I said that to another chick. She'd be like, oh, for real? Yeah. And but yeah, I handle business. That's all I had to say. I didn't know what else to say after that.
I'd be like, yeah, so it's a no for me, dog.
I'm like really looking at her like, okay. So I got nothing.
I'm gonna go ahead and go now. Yeah.
But yeah, so this is important. But no, before we go off the subject, the child is the importance. But what came to my mind before I went into all of that is checking with your spouse or your significant other, because believe it or not, the biological parent is automatically going to take the role in his child. He's going to play that role, and sometimes, or she, and sometimes they may leave their significant partner out of that equation, and they may handle discipline and regular operations or routines the way they're used to handling it. What they may fail to realize is checking the temperature, not only with the child, but with your significant other. And I think that was important, because I did not do that. And I see where if I had done that with you, I would have seen or would have heard different things that you were concerned about, or when you didn't call me out on these things, but you got to a point where you stopped saying anything. You literally shut down. And when the child would come over, you would just remove yourself from the equation. And that was not good, because that then messed up the United Front. It's been fixed years down the line. But I think that would have been very helpful.
And I mean, I think I said that to you too. I said, when they come over, or because it was more so one than the other, but I was like, I'm just going to let you have your time. I'm going to make myself scarce, for lack of a better word.
Yep.
So, because there comes a point too when you, as the step parent, you can't do anymore. There's literally nothing you can do. You can't fight that relationship between the child and their biological parent. And I don't know anybody that would want to do that. I would not want to do that. So my only recourse was, you need to have your time then. I'm not going to get in the way of your visitation. I would never do that. I would never say that they can't come here unless it's crazy disruptive. I would never do that. So I got to a point where it was like, you know what? When they come, then it's your time. Have your weekend, do what you guys need to do, and that's that. And like you said, that's not beneficial for anyone either, because then the biological children that are mine, they can start to see that division too. and then they can also start to form their own decisions in their heads. And sometimes children could start feeling, they can start feeling some type of way towards the other children, because it's like, okay, so you're treating my mom like such and such, or when you're acting like such. So that can start to cause even bigger rifts or just more separation in the family dynamic. So for sure, that conversations, having regular conversations with your spouse is very, very important, especially when there's a mix of children. Like you have your biological children, I have mine, and we're mixing everybody. It's so important to just everybody to have
an open dialogue and understanding of the situation.
Yeah.
And they were young, so it would have been helpful if I had took the role and took charge and was able to instigate, like, look, let's sit down, let's talk about this. And they've seen me take charge and be that force before, but they didn't see it there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, not at all. So that's our thoughts on being a step parent. I think that we can go all day on this type of topic, but I think very important, open communication. And I think that's just in any relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a parent relationship, a step-parent relationship. Communication is just always key.
I agree. That's a relationship hack for you. Yeah. Number one, communication.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
Say it with your chest.
What do we have next? Oh, the hypothetical question of the week. I think this was one that you brought to the table. So this is the hypothetical question of the week. What possible negative traits would you be willing to ignore if your significant other is very attractive?
Super fine.
I'm going to let you go ahead because I don't know.
This
what
is my
possible
subject.
Negative traits would you be willing to ignore if your significant other is super attractive?
Should we hop on the obvious one that I was presented with?
I don't know. What
cooking.
Okay, so you'd be able to
no,
ignore
I don't know.
If she can't cook?
Nah,
if she's just
I can cook.
Attractive?
I can cook. So if she's super fine, I might have to let that one go.
Okay.
Because I feel as though, I don't know, it depends on how bad she is a full cook. Like I feel as though you got to be able to cook something. Like, I ain't going to be wanting to cook everything.
What if she can't cook anything? What if she can't even boil an egg? What if she just can't
gonna
make hot dogs?
Then that's not her role.
Okay, so
that
you'd be
is
fine
not,
then.
No, I'm not saying I would be fine with that. That might have to be a no. When I say that's not her role.
So she would need to cook. What are you saying? Like, would she need to have? What would you be willing to overlook?
I'm trying to.
If it's not cooking,
I'm really trying to think about how I feel about that now that I said that before, and I don't think I feel it. Moving forward, and I didn't know about you, but moving forward, I need somebody to be able to cook.
Okay, so what would you be willing to overlook? That is the question.
I am thinking. To be honest, I think the house not being all the way clean.
You'd be willing to overlook it?
As long as the bathroom was clean. The kitchen, I don't know now.
Listen, if someone is super attractive but they don't keep it clean, they're going to start looking real nasty to me. Like if I walk in the bathroom and it's all grimy, you're going to really start... Things about you, I'm going to be like, well, then you're just a nasty person. Like, do you clean your body properly if you can't clean your house? Like, my mind goes to different places when cleanliness...
I know that.
When
and that's
cleanliness
why I'm thinking,
is involved...
And so do I. And that's why when you said that, I'm trying to really think...
When cleanliness is involved, I'm going to take it to the next level because I'm thinking you don't even wash your butt properly. So I cannot overlook
Just because
clean.
you super fine, and there's some traits, I'm still saying, though, I'll be like, you just good to look at. But
this was your question, bro.
I know, and I feel bad. Like,
on.
seriously. Hold on. I'm gonna be honestly. I do feel like cooking might be a situation that I would let go because I can cook.
I think you might need to fall back on that one. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think attractiveness has anything to do with it. If somebody's doing something that's annoying to me, that I know will be annoying to me, I don't know.
We gotta also talk about how fine, because there's local fine, and then there's that fine that you know you ain't supposed to see. That ain't, you know, you not from around here type fine.
I'm just so lost right now, peeps.
The men would know what I'm talking
So
about. The men in
lost
here
right
know
now.
what I'm talking
I
about.
hope
So
you men know what he's talking about.
You don't have.
Because he
There's
just
no
said
man.
local fine. I don't know what he's talking about.
I mean, like the girls you used to seeing around here, like this is average. Like you from Connecticut, fine.
We've already discussed the fact that you have lived in the same fishbowl for years. So when you say the women in this area, are you talking about the women that you have in your head that you dealt with in this area?
No,
what I'm thinking in my head
You got to
is,
see her facial expressions.
are we putting those
No, we're not
under
putting
the
those.
fine column?
No, we're not going to put.
Feel like
we're
we
not
need a
fine.
new-
We're
feel
not
like
doing
we
a
need a
fine
new
print.
column.
We're not doing a fine print. I'm just saying in general.
Okay.
There's this. Okay, so there is no one that you would think that's attractive.
Idris?
I was
What
about
could
to say
Idris
him.
do?
I was about to say him.
What
but
could Idris do
What?
that would push me over the edge? I'm like, you know what? I can't deal with
Yeah,
this.
let's talk that.
I don't know. No disrespect to Idris's wife because she's beautiful. So sorry, Mrs. Idris, but she shares him with us. I've been on her Instagram page. She's hilarious. She's like, look at our husband, y'all. I'm like, because she knows.
Yeah,
She knows. You
Yeah.
gotta share the man. But no, Idris, dude, like if he, because one of my pet peeves is like
I
slurping
was
when
about
you
to say-
drink. If he was just a habitual slurper, I just wouldn't be able to go to dinner with him. Like, no, you can't order nothing to drink. You just gonna have to eat your meal dry. I don't know. I'm gonna have to plug my ears up every time he drinks. I don't know.
Now I'm not the only one sitting over here lost for words.
I'm just thinking of pet peeves. But yeah, he would have to be clean. He would have to know how to clean and keep a nice house. But yeah, when I'm thinking of the pet peeves, I would be able to get past the slurping, I'm sure.
And the snoring.
I can get earplugs. I can get earplugs.
I
Man
know
versus
tape.
woman question of the week up next. So I think that hypothetical question, I don't even know if we answered it.
I feel like we.
So
that's
ridiculous.
You know what? That question is more so for if topic.
Such
I
a
want other
ridiculous
people.
question.
It was because it sounded good in my head
It
when I
did.
was thinking about it. I was just like, I know,
Difficult to answer.
but that's really difficult because I need structure still.
Yeah.
Like, don't put on a face and then come out here and be nasty. And I think I'm gonna get annoyed the fact that you can't cook. You can't cook nothing, nothing. So I gotta do everything, or she got to be paid.
Listen, some guys like to cook. There's some male chefs out there.
Oh, I love to cook, but I like it when I'm on my own terms.
Oh my gosh. All right. Male chauvinist. Man versus woman.
How dare you?
Question of the week. Is your spouse's phone your business? Touchy, touchy subject for some. Touchy, touchy subject for some.
In the relation, I don't care. I feel like if there's nothing to hide, then sure, here, fine.
100%. If I'm in a committed relationship, a.k.a. a marriage, I don't care. There's nothing you can't see of mine.
All day.
Would I go through my spouse's phone? I used to. Now I can't waste energy on it. If I feel like I have the need to go through your phone, then there's a bigger issue at hand. Perhaps there needs to be a conversation had. So I cannot lend any thoughts to sneaking through a phone at this point in my life.
50 years old trying to figure out your password.
It's crazy putting it up to your face while you're sleeping because you got 800 codes on it, fingerprint, like FBI level security on your phone.
It's only an iPhone, ladies and gentlemen.
I read a quote the other day. What did it say? Something like, so it's kind of crazy, but it was saying that so when you're in a marriage, I'm paraphrasing because I can't really remember the exact words, but it said, so when you're in a marriage, you can see each other's private parts, but you can't see each other's phone because that's private.
I like it.
I mean, seriously.
It's funny,
It's
but I like it.
so true. Like, seriously, what is private? There's nothing private. What is mine? I don't care if you see. What's yours should also not
What
be
is
a
it
problem
you used
for
to
me
say?
to
Mine
see.
is mine, and what's yours is mine too.
Yeah.
So, she also used to say, "I don't make the rules."
I don't. There's just things out there unspoken. Just got to live by them.
Yeah, I don't mind the phone thing. If you are that person, aka married, or a very committed relationship that is on its way toward marriage,
Fiancé, yep. Buddha.
yeah, okay, yeah, that then there should be no reason. We are about to embark upon a relationship and a
100%.
life. There's trust here.
100%, yeah.
But so if I pick up your phone and see a call, I should have no problem answering it and being
Right.
like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Da, da,
Right.
da, da.
Right.
Or he's not available. Can I take a message? Or hold on, here he is.
100%.
Or she.
100%. All right, something new. This one is mine this week. And I bought this lip gloss not too long ago. It was a lip luminizer gloss. Okay, so the word luminizer there should have tipped me off, but it didn't. So I was all hyped to use this lip gloss. It was this dark red color. Not red. It was kind of like a dark cherry with a brownish tint to it. So I was like all hyped to get it. And I put it on. This lip gloss started burning my lips.
It burned your lips.
It was burned. I was like, what is going on? I had to take a tissue and wipe it off. I'm like, what in the world? So I called my sister and I told her I got it. She was like, yeah, it does that. And like, it's made to plump your lips up. There's like some chemical in there that is made to plump your lips.
Yeah, because it's attacking the lips so hard that you're in pain that it's red.
It was like, I've never heard of this before. Number one, I do not need anything to luminize my lips. But I was like, what the heck? I love this color so much.
You've just been suffering through it?
I have not worn it again since.
I was about to say,
I might try it again. I might try it out again. But I was like, what the heck is this? Then I had to do some research on, there's these plumping lip glosses out there. I was like, okay, people are really going crazy out there. But yeah, something new was my lip luminizer gloss that I tried. And just for the sake of the color, I might try it again.
You pump a little bit.
I might put some on tonight, see if I can endure the pain. But
I want to see this. Can you please do this in front of me?
No, that was my something new for the week. Lip luminizer gloss. Anybody out there, if you want to try it out, if you want to see if you can live through the pain of some lip luminizer gloss, have at it.
But it will, at the end of the burning, your lips will be nice and pouty. So you can be just taking pictures permanently with the pouty face.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're doing it for.
I guess. Clearly they're doing it for something, but it was very interesting. So yeah, that was my something new this week. And I think that that's going to wrap us for the week, right?
Yeah, that's it. I think we did it good.
So once again, another podcast coming and going.
Episode 6. I hope you guys enjoy it. And we are signing off. I'm B. Wills.
I am Tay. And thanks again for joining Shenanigans, the podcast. We will talk to you all next week. Peace out.
Later.